Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are here, game week 5. What a game week it has been. Hopefully it's been a decent game week for you. Make sure you let me know in the comments how your game week's gone, but on screen you can see that so far this week we've scored 43 points. There is still one game to play, and that is the Nottingham Forest and Burnley fixture that is happening overnight. So hopefully Matt Turner gets to start and can get a clean sheet and some save points to save our game week. But this is the situation at the moment. On Saturday night, I was in an absolute fantastic position with Odds and Edward scoring, with Salah getting his returns as well. And Erling Haaland is someone that I think a lot of the Sun and Madison owners are very, very lucky. Only got the one return when he had 9 shots and an XG of 2.5 with only getting one return. And in a different world, Vardiol gets an assist as well for one of those chances, and we're absolutely smashing it for points, but our rank's gone from just under 1.1 mil to about 970 odd thousand or 980 odd thousand. That should be there in the top of your screen. We've got plenty to talk about in this transfer targets video, and let me know who your transfer targets are going to be in the comments as we move through the video. So the first one has to be Julian Alvarez. He is a fantastic, fantastic option. I've spoken about him quite a bit so far this season. The minutes are fantastic. He's played 90 minutes in 4 of the 5 games, and he's played 89 in the other game there. So Julian Alvarez is definitely top of my transfer targets. We've only got the one transfer one free transfer this week. There is a world where I could take a hit in order to get Alvarez and another player in that's on this list. But what I like from Alvarez is he's really slotted into that Kevin De Bruyne role. I thought he'd be playing more as an attacking threat. So we have seen him still score 2 goals with an XG of 1.9. But the big thing for me is he's really taken on the creative role in this team. We saw him get 2 fantastic assists on the weekend once again, I believe. And he's just a fantastic player. He's taking free kicks. He's on corners. He's in and around it with Haaland. Him and Bernardo are working very, very well together. Although from 5 assists, you can see there's a 1.24 expected assist. So he's probably overperforming that quite a bit. But the eye test is paying off for Julian Alvarez. And if you had the ability to go put him back in your team from game week 1 or 2 instead of Nicholas Jackson, you'd be miles better off for points. And that's really the one move I'm eyeing off this week, and I would be endorsing anyone getting Julian Alvarez. I am going to hold off, though, until the Champions League comes and goes. I just want to see, number 1, if he starts, number 2, if he plays, and if anything happens with regards to an injury or any news that we hear from Pep about Alvarez. But I think I'm going to lock in and ride him through to my wildcard. But I would be endorsing most moves for Julian Alvarez. I would just be waiting for Champions League news. So a player that I really do want to talk at depth about this week is Marcus Rashford, because I worry that people will be looking to sell Marcus Rashford, and I definitely would not be selling. In that first half in particular, him and Rasmus Højlund looked absolutely fantastic, linking up front together with Bruno in the 10. Rashford had 9 shots at the weekend and only 2 on target, so I think there's a world where Rashford will continue to get these opportunities, and we know his home form is brilliant. In the next 4 games, he's got Burnley, he's got Crystal Palace, Brentford, Sheffield. They're all gettable games for Marcus Rashford to get some serious returns in. So I'd be expecting some returns from Rashford, and especially if he's going to play on the left of a 2, he just looks lethal. He was inches away from getting an assist as well when cutting down the byline to Rasmus Højlund, and I just think at 8.9 million, a lot of people have Son. I think Rashford now in that striker role up front with Højlund could be a very unique option because his ownership is slowly coming down. So I would 100% be looking to target Marcus Rashford if you want one of those 2 midfielders from Man United. I think he's a bit better of an option than Bruno if the system's going to stay the same. Otherwise, I'd prioritise Bruno. The last of the big transfer targets that I want to talk about this week is Kieran Trippier, because everyone is going to talk about Kieran Trippier. The numbers don't look fantastic. Everyone knows that Newcastle had an extremely difficult run of fixtures to start the season, and that's what we've seen. The XG is non-existent. 0.02 through 5 games is extremely low for Kieran Trippier. The assists, he hasn't had any attacking returns so far this season, which is extremely unlike Kieran Trippier. But I expect an uptake in that data coming from Sheffield, Burnley, West Ham, Crystal Palace. these are 4 games that I expect Newcastle to be on top in these games, and I think Trippier is going to get a license to attack. 6.5 is quite a bit for a defender. I'm probably going to struggle to get him in just with the way that my team is structured. So if you're in a similar position to me, I still think Botman is a very, very good option. I think Newcastle defensively, although they've had some really difficult fixtures, they're still ranking inside the top 4 for the expected goals conceded. So their defense has still been solid. It's just that we haven't seen the attacking returns from Trippier so far this season. But I think between Trippier and Botman, there's a world where people should be doubling up on Newcastle for this run of fixtures. I need to figure out what I'm going to do, because this is what my team will look like going into next week. There's a big possibility that we make one transfer in particular, which is the Nicholas Jackson to Julian Alvarez move. The other issues I've got in the team are Ben Chilwell in particular getting benched. That's 6 points missed today, with them getting a clean sheet. He did come on. He got 0 points because he managed to come on and in 10 minutes get himself a yellow card, which is extremely frustrating because Ben Chilwell, it just looks like Pochettino might not want to use him in a back 4. And in games that Chelsea are going to dominate, I expect that they're going to play the 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 variant more often. So it's a bit concerning that we're holding 5.8 million or so in Chilwell. I tried to see if I could go a -4 for Jackson to Alvarez and Chilwell to Trippier, but I just don't have the funds. I'm going to be 0.1 short. So that little price fall that Jackson got right at the deadline is what's cost me being able to make that move for a -4. So this week, my one move that I'll be prioritising, I think, will be the Jackson-Alvarez swap, unless I hear some news on Alvarez that's not positive, and then I'll go Chilwell to a Newcastle defender. So that's sort of where my team is sitting at the moment. Other picks that have done really well for us, Edouard managing to get a return in his first game was absolutely brilliant. So he's a definite option there if you need a cheap striker in your teams. And Vardiol's someone who is on my watch list of players. I just think the Man City fixtures, if we go back to the fixtures for Julian Alvarez, with Forest, Wolves, then Arsenal and Brighton, then I'm looking at my wild card in either 9 or 10, so he'll probably come out of my team at that point. Anyway, so hopefully, so far that punt has not happened. I would have honestly been better staying off with Gabriel with the clean sheet that they got against Everton. Who would have thought that I would have had Vardiol for Fulham, for Sheffield, and for West Ham, and Gabriel still would have outscored him. So that's just the luck of FPL sometimes. The team's in a very, very good position, especially if it's going to be Alvarez up front there with Jackson. I might just have to ride the Chilwell train all the way to the wild card, and the goalkeeper roulette with Pickford will hopefully pay off. So that's where my team's sitting. Let me know in the comments what you guys are doing and what your score and rank is sitting at through 5 game weeks. But make sure you're here all throughout the week, because there's going to be plenty of content ahead of the game week 6 deadline.